Hello everyone, this is your teacher, Mr. Ricardo. And well, for today's lesson, we'll cover two different topics that, similar to the class that we have last week, are going to be two different regions, right? We're going to finish what we started with the near north. We're going to discuss some of the things related to the population, where do people live, why it's so important, or why do they live in those places. And also, we're going to discuss some of the main characteristics, the natural characteristics, and also the population characteristics of the central zone of Chile. Okay. So for today's lesson, let me remind you that we will use pages 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, and 73. Okay. So before we begin, let me remind you that we're going to see and take a look at the glossary, all right? So pay attention. See you. Ok, chicos, ahora tenemos las palabras que son parte del glosario o vocabulario. Primero que nada tenemos agriculture, que tiene que ver con la agricultura, mining, que es la minería, y fishing, que es la pesca. Tres actividades que están relacionadas a las actividades que se llevan a cabo en el Near North y en Central Zone. Swells, que son las crecidas, en el fondo las crecidas de los ríos, eso lo vamos a ahondar en un rato más. Drought, que tiene que ver con la sequía, específicamente con la sequía que se da en la zona central del país, específicamente en los meses de verano. Luego tenemos mammals, que tiene que ver con los mamíferos. Imagino que empezamos a recordar parte de estas palabras. Y port, que tiene que ver con los puertos. O sea, ¿qué tipo de puerto? Un puerto pesquero. ¿Ok? Así que chicos, partimos con la clase el día de hoy. So before we begin the class, let's have a look at some of the regions that we will talk about today. We're going to move from the near north up from Coquimbo until reaching the Biobío River, because we're going through the near north and the central zone. We will see changes in the climate and also biodiversity. And another big change that we will see is also the population, the density. Okay, so let's focus and let's begin. So to sum up what we saw last week, we need to understand some of the conditions where the people lived in the near north. First of all, we have the places like with fertile soil, so places that have lots of different vegetation and biodiversity. We also have a broad coastline where usually cities and also the population density is located. We also have what we know as dry places, which are the places that are most difficult to live at least for the population in the near north. Now, which cities are the ones that have the most concentration of people in this region? First of all, we have the city of Coquimbo, which is a big city, lots of people, and basically it's like, let's say, like a few. Let's put some places that in Santiago, and let's make a big city, which is also very similar to La Serena. La Serena and Coquimbo, they are both together. They are close to each other, and they have plenty of people that live in this part. And also we have other cities like Caldera. Some of you may remember Caldera because in Caldera we have a, a long known beach which is called Bahía Inglesa. Imagino que varios han ido para allá y eso se encuentra en la ciudad de Caldera. Ahora, ojo, not only people live in cities like Coquimbo, La Serena, and Caldera. People also live in cities that are not in the coast. For example, like the city of Copiapó. Copiapó is a city that is in the inner part of the uh, main Chilean continental mainland, right? It's part of the Central Valley. What else do we have? We have also the city of Vallenar. So let's go back again. So we have the cities that people live on the coast and cities that people live inside of the country, which are the ones that we have here. Copiapó and also Vallenar. Finally, we're going to discuss about the things that the population does in uh, in the near north. So, what are the occupations, the works? Usually, in the near north, people work on what we know as agriculture or livestock production. All right. What else can we find that people work at in this region? People also do lots of fishing over here, right? So we have fishing in the near north, and finally we have an an activity that is very important for our country, which is mining. All right. So these are the three main activities that people do in the near north: agriculture, fishing, and mining. So before we move on and finish, I want you to take a look at the map that we have in page 68, which show us the cities of Copiapó, Vallenar, La Serena, Coquimbo, and Ovalle. As you can tell, the density of population is bigger in the cities that are near to the coast, like La Serena, Coquimbo, and Ovalle. All right? So let's move on to the conclusions. So basically, what do we need to remember about the near north? That most people live next to the coast. There are some cities that are inside of the continent or inside of the country, y específicamente en las ciudades de la costa se concentra la mayor cantidad de gente. Las ciudades donde la gente vive, que están dentro del continente, también realizan otro tipo de actividades. Let's think, maybe if I live inside of the country, maybe I will do agriculture. If I live next to the coast, I will do something like fishing. Perhaps mining is also related to the cities that are not in the coast. Así que entonces, chicos, nos movemos al siguiente tópico. Now, we're moving forward to central Chile, and we're going to discuss a few things. First of all, the central Chile extends from the Aconcagua River to the Biobío River. Now, this zone, the main characteristics of this zone is that it has well-defined seasons. O sea, la gran mayoría de las estaciones del año están bien definidas. Uno se da cuenta cuándo es cada estación. And also, another of the important aspects about this region is the high quality of life of people here. So it's good for a person to live in central Chile. O sea, la gente tiene una muy buena calidad de vida. Now, if you have a good quality of life, if you have a good life in this region, it means that most people is going to live here. That is one of the reasons why the highest concentration and also of population density is in this region. That's why, because most people live in Santiago, in Viña del Mar, in Valparaíso, is because the quality of life is very, very good. So now, before we move forward, we're going to learn about the natural characteristics of central Chile. So the first thing we're going to discuss in terms of climate, relief, biodiversity, and surface waters are the surface waters of the central Chile or zona central. All right. So what are we going to first take notice is that the rivers are higher flow rates, so the rivers are actually bigger and have more water than those in the near north. Also, there are two notable suels, which means that the rivers usually grow, get bigger, and it happens twice, two times a year, one in spring, and the larger one, the bigger one, is in winter. And all rivers in this area flow to the sea. This is very important, and why are we using the book now? It's because I want you to focus on this map. Remember, we are on page 70, okay? Pay attention to all the rivers around the region. Every single river is able to connect to another river and flow into the sea. Pay attention, most rivers begin in the place we know as Los Andes Mountains. And as we can tell, in this part of the country, all rivers begin in the Andes Mountains, usually perhaps the snow, perhaps the rain. It has a mixed basin, and they are able to flow through the country until they go to the sea, right? And as you can tell over here, you can also look at uh, this model, right? So you can understand how they work. For example, the river begins over there in Cerro Tupungato, goes through Santiago, perhaps the Mapocho. It begins into the Maipo River, and then it goes through the ocean next to the coast city of San Antonio. Now, in terms of relief, we have both the Andes Mountains that has once again very high peaks over 6,000 meters on, and also we have the coastal mountains that once again they become bigger because as we know in the near north the heights of these two mountains decreased, o sea, no eran tan grandes como en el norte grande, pero nuevamente we have these two uh, going back to their to their former glory. um, what else do we find over here? We have that both Santiago and Rancagua are surrounded by mountains. These are two are called the Santiago Basin and Rancagua Basin. And finally, we have also that the coast are mostly broad and spacious. All right, so they are big spaces where big cities can settle in. Usually, they are also broad because of the rivers. There are a few exceptions, for example, in the city of San Antonio. Now, central Chile has a temperate Mediterranean climate, right? That is divided into two types. Now, what is the meaning of Mediterranean? This is basically that the seasons of the year are consistent. We have very hot summers and very cold winters. All right. Now, the first type occurs in Santiago and Rancagua. This is the first type of climate, and this is characterized by long periods and rainy winters. All right, so the climate in this period is usually dry, but the winters itself are very rainy and usually very cold. The second type is more uh, it is 50-50, we could say. O sea, es el segundo tipo de clima es más equitativo en ese sentido. But why? This is not in Santiago Rancagua. This is found in the further south. So you need to go deeper into the central Chile zone. All right. And it has a dry season and a rainy season for the same amount of time. O sea, ambos periodos secos, calurosos, fríos y lluviosos duran lo mismo en este segundo tipo. Also, the Andes Mountains have a cold mountain climate with snow during the winter months, as we can see here. That's why we're using the book. The climate of central Chile. We can tell here Santiago and Rancagua, they are part of a different type of climate, remember? And also we have places like Talca and Concepcion, and they are usually exposed to this second type of climate, where the summer and the winter, or usually the hot or dry climates, are equal with the rainy or cold climates. All right. So let's move on to biodiversity. So boys, central Chile is characterized by hardleaf forests, which are called in Spanish bosques de hoja con cubierta dura. Now, why they have the hardleaf? Because they are adapted to the long summer drought. O sea, ellos están adaptados ¿para qué? Para la gran sequía que usualmente tenemos durante el verano en la zona central. Also, we have a great variety of animal species, for example, like birds, rodents, and predatory mammals. Predatory mammals are depredadores que son mamíferos, for example, like pumas or wild cats. Now let's remember that this is the first half of the map. in central Chile. Let's remember that the second half is different. The climate changes. So, towards Biobío, moist forests of oaks, o sea, son bosques mucho más húmedos con diferentes especies de plantas o árboles, like oaks, coihue, monkey puzzle trees, and these are found along the Andes Mountains because in the Andes Mountains, because these parts are very cold, there is a greater amount of precipitation or rainfall. All right. Finally, in terms of fauna or animals, this place of the central region is home to animals like vizcacha, chinchilla, condor, and puma. Now, in terms of the population activities in the central Chile, it's not a secret that central Chile has good soil, has sufficient water irrigation, it has moderate temperatures, so it's good to the climate is good here, especially I would say on the coast, and also the conditions that we have inside of the continent or the country allows for great places for agriculture, cultivation, and also a production process, right? So there is no secret why most people and the larger cities in our country are located in the central region, right? Uh, so we need to think about, for example, the climate conditions and also because of the soil. And let's remember that this part is not only about Santiago and Valparaíso, it's also about the different cities that are next to the south. So we're going to take a look at some of the most important cities in this region. So, which are the most important cities in central Chile? First of all, we have one that you may recognize. This is the city of Santiago, right? City of Santiago is the capital of the country. It has the largest population of all the cities, and also is the head of is the house of the government. You can see over here we have La Moneda. The next city is a very beautiful city, which is the city of Valparaíso. Valparaíso has a very important, the biggest or one of the biggest ports in Chile and also in the whole South American continent, right? And also we have the Congress, which is another place that is very important for our government. Finally, we have the city of Concepcion. Basically, the city of Concepcion is a place for it's a commercial center. Lots of people live here, and we could say that is some sort of Santiago, but with a big ocean. Also, it has a huge port that is also very important to our country. And finally, other cities that are worth to mention that are in central Chile or in the central region are the following: are Rancagua, which is very close to Santiago. We have also the city of Talca, the city of Chillán, and finally the city of Los Angeles. Now, to sum up, boys, this was the class of today. Ahora, pequeñas cosas que repasar aquí entre español y inglés para que estemos todos en la misma sincronía, básicamente. Recordar de que hay ciertos cambios, especialmente en lo que respecta al relieve, con el tamaño de ambas cordilleras. También recordemos lo que pasa con lo que es surface waters, de que vemos de que todos los ríos logran en el fondo llegar al océano. También hay un flujo mayor al que se da en las zonas del norte chico o el near north, como nosotros lo conocemos. Muy importante para entender qué es lo que pasa en la zona central. Tiene mucho que ver con los cambios climáticos que hay. Y recuerden que estos están divididos en las regiones o en las ciudades de Santiago y Rancagua, que son de carácter más seco durante todo el año, a pesar de que en el invierno, usualmente, no es el caso de este invierno claramente, eh, ¿cómo se llama? El invierno es un poco más lluvioso, a diferencia de la segunda zona en la que ya conforman las regiones o las ciudades que se encuentran más al sur de Chile, dentro de lo que es la región central, como Concepción y otras, donde en el fondo el clima es un poco más lluvioso, pero también a su vez se mantiene seco, ambos de manera bien equitativa. Y en términos de la población, recordar que la gran mayoría de la población se concentra entre las ciudades de Valparaíso, de Concepción y también de Santiago, pero también a su vez tenemos otras regiones o otras ciudades que también son importantes dentro de esta región. Así que chicos, yo los dejo. Ojalá que tengan un muy buen fin de semana, una muy buena clase. Aquí claramente me están acompañando. Así que nos vemos chiquillos. Un abrazo grande y que tengan un muy buen fin de semana.